Thank you for joining us. So I want to welcome all of you. Before we get started, we will do some quick introductions. My name is Jasmine Roman, and I'm the program coordinator for the Compton and Long Beach schools. And I'll have the other coordinators go ahead and introduce themselves before we get started.
Hi everyone, my name is Diana Vallejo and I'm the program coordinator for the South Bay schools.
My name is Andres Guardado and I'm the program coordinator for our LA and Linwood area schools.
Okay, so we are going to be doing a quick walkthrough of the UC application today. We will be showing you how to access the application, some questions that you should be looking out for throughout the application that definitely require a little bit more attention. And then we're also going to be sharing with you a quick list of do's and don'ts. If you are looking for someone to assist you step by step working on the application, your advisors are available to do that as well. So you'll be able to set up an appointment with them through Remind if you need assistance going through the UC application. Some of the ETS advisors are already on site at your schools. So for the Compton and Long Beach side, the Dominguez advisors, Janet and Maria, will be on site already at Dominguez. So you'll be able to find them in the College Center. Tomorrow, Emily will be available for the Compton High students in the College Center. And she'll send a reminder to you guys letting you know where she's at on campus. And then I believe some of Andres' schools are already on site as well. If you want to share that, Andres.
Yes, so Linwood High School students, your advisor is now on campus. Our Bell High School students will also have their advisor there. He started today, and then tomorrow we will be placing our HP advisor. So all three of our LA Linwood schools will be having their advisors present this week. If we have any students joining us from Maywood, we are working on getting our advisor placed. But in the meantime, I know we have one student who filled out the application. Not sure if they're joining us, but for any Maywood students, you guys can submit an application. And in the meantime, we can work with you via email.
And then Diana, if you had any updates.
Yeah, so we're placing Carson, the advisor for Carson tomorrow. So she'll be available for you guys tomorrow, and then hopefully next week we can place Banning, Gardena, and Rancho, and then we're still pending on Narbonne.
Okay, thank you. So keep an eye out for a remind message from your advisors. They'll let you know when they're on campus. You guys can walk in and set up an appointment with them, or you'll be able to still reach them virtually for those that are not on campus. So if we can go on to the next slide. So before we do get started, we need you to go ahead and fill out our Google form for attendance. Go ahead and click the bit.ly that's entered in the chat, and you'll be able to fill out your attendance for this session. You'll pick the UC application walkthrough. We are recording the session, as I mentioned, so if you miss any information or just want to listen and don't want to take notes, that's okay. We'll be sharing the recording on our YouTube page. And then if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please add it to the chat. We will be addressing them at the end. Okay, so starting off, the University of California system, or the UC system, is one of the largest universities systems in the world, offering undergraduate and graduate programs on campuses located across the state. As you can see on the map, we have 9 different campuses that you guys are able to apply to as undergraduate students. However, there are 10 campuses in total. UC San Francisco is not on this map, but it is the 10th institution that's available for students who are interested in receiving a master's degree. So that would be after your bachelor's. And then both UC Merced and UC Berkeley are on the semester system. Most of the other campuses are on the quarter system. So just to keep that in mind, the system of public research universities, so most of these institutions are focusing on research. They offer bachelor's, master's, doctorate, teaching credentials, and the average cost for tuition is about $14,000. But remember, there's financial aid available for attending campuses. So keep that in mind and don't let that deter you from applying to a campus. And then I do want to quickly touch on the tiers. This is not something that we share too often with our students, but when we do, we share it so that you're able to make informed decisions when applying to UC campuses. There are 3 tiers, and as you can see, it shows the rate of admission for each of these campuses. So in tier 1, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UC Irvine are the more competitive schools to get into. So we do have a lot of students applying to these campuses. In tier 2, 30 to 40% admission rate for UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Davis. And then we have tier 3, which offers 40 to 60% admission rate for UC Riverside, UC Merced, and UC Santa Cruz. And we want you all to be smart about applying to the UC system. If you do end up qualifying for the 4 free fee waivers when applying for a UC, we really encourage you all to aim to apply to a school in each of the tiers. So you want to be a little bit strategic if that's what you would like to do when you're applying to the UCs. And you'll be able to choose any of these campuses that you're interested in applying to. Next slide. We do have the application timeline for you on here. So as most of you all know, August 1st is when the UC application did open. So the UC application is available for you to get started on right now. It's been open for the past about to be 2 months. November 1st to 30th is when you submit the UC application online. February through March is when students will receive some type of notification of admission decisions, whether through a portal or mail out or an email. May 1st is the decision day or SIR, statement of intent to register deadline. And May 1st is when you make the decision of what UC campus you are planning to attend, if that's where you want to go. And then May through June is a waitlist admission notification for a lot of students who received some type of waitlist for a school that they've applied to. And then waitlist decisions are sent out through May to early July, actually. Campuses will notify you through email if you are on the wait list, and you'll make a final decision once they go through that process with you. Next slide. So the UC application, as you can see, we have the link ready for you to be able to click on so that you can apply and create a so you can create your own account using your own personal email. You don't want to use a school email. So definitely make sure that if you haven't already, set up a personal email that you can use for all applications, whether it's the UC, CSU, or private and institutions. You want to select the term as a first-time freshman and then click Save and Continue at the bottom of each of your pages. And that way you can save all the information that you're entering on the UC application. The application is due November 30th. So please circle this date on your calendars, make a note of it. We want all of our students to submit prior to November 30th, so you're not waiting till the last minute, preferably before the Thanksgiving break. That way you'll be able to receive assistance from your advisor or college center counselors. Anyone who's helping you with the UC application, you want to make sure that you submit it early and you're not waiting till the last minute. We do want you to begin preparing to submit for the application by researching the different campuses that are available across the UC system. You want to start learning about the different majors that are offered and the types of courses you need to attend a UC. And then some majors are only open to freshman applicants. So make sure that you are looking at this information as you're doing your research and gather your materials to be able to apply to the UC. You do need your transcripts or any academic records. If you've attended multiple high schools or you've done any dual enrollment courses, these are all transcripts that you want to gather so that you're able to start filling out your application. You do want a list of awards and honors or any volunteer or extracurricular activities that you've done. So if you haven't already, start gathering all of that information. Your ETS advisors can help you put that into, a brag sheet or a resume, and that way you're better organized to be able to input this information to the UC application. And then, because I said the application is already open, so many of you have already created your account, but if you haven't, you want to get started with that as soon as possible. And that's why we're here, to be able to explain to you how to go ahead and get started with the UC application. Next slide. There is one application, so as soon as you make the account, you'll be able to apply to the different campuses within that one application. Each application fee for the UCs is $70 for every campus that you apply to. Fees waived are, so fee waivers are based on household size and income, and you would be awarded up to 4 different campus fee waivers if you do qualify for that. Fee waivers are available if students qualified for an SAT fee waiver. So if you did register to take an SAT exam, your fee waivers might be available through your College Board account. And if you sign into your College Board account, you'll be able to see that you have the waivers there. Each school considers a student's application separately. So we'll be talking about the PIQs a little bit later. And then we do have a session on that on Thursday. But when you are addressing any questions throughout the application, you want to make sure that they are meant for every single campus. And then these are the different sections of the UC application. So we'll be navigating through the application right now, touching on different parts of it. But the first section would be on personal information, where they ask you for contact information, demographic, background, household. And then we'll move on to the campuses and majors, academic history, test scores, activities and awards, scholarships and programs, and then your personal insight questions. And then finally, at the end of the application, you'll be able to review all of the information that you've submitted to be able to submit the UC application. As always, if you're working on the UC application, before you hit submit, you'll want someone to review that for you to make sure that you've completed the application very thoroughly. Touching on the About You section of the UC application, this section will require your legal name that matches your social security card or your high school records, as well as your FAFSA. So if you have 2 last names, if you have a middle name, you will want to list all of your complete legal name on your application. It will also ask you about citizenship and residency. So just to make sure to clarify that the difference between citizenship and residency is that for citizenship, this is asking if you are a US citizen or a permanent resident. And then for residency, this is asking you which is where you're born. And then for residency is for California residency, this is for in-state tuition purposes. So as long as you have been living in the state of California for over a year and a day, you would be considered a California resident. So make sure you're aware of the difference of citizenship and residency, and that you answer correctly on the application. And then parent education, as well as household size and income. Once you enter that information, it'll help determine whether you are qualify or eligible for the fee waiver.
So the next section that is part of the application is campuses and majors. So you're going to go ahead and verify that you're applying to the correct application cycle. So you'll be applying for the fall quarter / semester of 2022. And you're going to make sure that your application level says freshman. That way we want to make sure that you're being submitting your application in the correct pool. And then want to make sure that the classes later on will populate correctly. So you're going to select the campus you're interested in applying to and the majors that you want to apply to as well. So this section of the application is going to ask you to finalize those choices or initially indicate those choices. You can select one school and one major and then move on to complete the rest of the application. And before submitting, go back to this this section. So this, like, if you don't know exactly what campuses you want to apply to, that doesn't mean that you can't move on to other parts of the application. Okay. Some campuses will not have a major of interest. So that's like a secondary major. So you will just choose your primary major. If available, we do recommend choosing an alternate major, okay? One resource that we did want to share with you all in helping you narrow down that college list. If you joined us for our last workshop, we talked about how to choose a college. When looking through the different UCs, we have a website here that we'll add in the chat right now, and I'm going to go ahead and share on my screen real quick so you guys can see what that looks like. So this is the link to the website. So this is allowing you to check different majors. So if you look on here, I can search by major, by applicant level. So I'm a freshman, right? I'm applying as freshman for the fall term. And I can select all campuses. And let's say I want to major in biology. When I hit search, it'll show me all the different biology majors at different campuses. So I can see here that Santa Barbara has an aquatic biology, biochemistry, major with a molecular biology emphasis. So you can go through and search, let's say you wanted to do economics. That's not how you spell economics. That is embarrassing because that was my major in college. There you go. So these are the different schools that have economics. And again, it'll tell you the different types of programs that they have. So business management economics at Santa Cruz, traditional economics at these 4 different schools. So Berkeley, Davis, Merced. So you can use this tool to help you understand what schools you want to apply to and what campuses or what majors are offered at those different schools. So if I wanted to do just a general search, I can click all the majors, let's say at Merced, and hit search. And it'll give me all their different majors. So I can go through there. I can also search through different categories. So let's say I know I want to go into something with mathematics, but I'm not sure exactly what the major is that I want. But I know that I want to look into Merced. It'll show me all the different mathematics majors that are offered at Merced, okay? So definitely you want to utilize this tool to help narrow down that list of campuses that you're applying to. And that way, again, like Jasmine said, you're making informed decisions, making sure that you're applying to a school that has your major. So that's super important. And again, if you need help navigating that website or exploring different resources, you can always reach out to your ETS advisor. All right, so the next section is going to ask for your academic history. So this is where we always recommend for students to have a copy of their most current transcript. You can ask your college counselor, your academic counselor, or your ETS advisor in some cases for a copy of your transcript if you don't have one. But this section is going to ask you to list first your math and foreign language courses that you might have taken in 7th and 8th grade. So if any of you took algebra 1 in 7th or 8th grade, or if you guys took a Spanish class in middle school as well, you can list that here, and that'll allow you to get credit for taking that course as an A through G course on the college application. You'll also enter any high schools that you've attended and the years that you've attended that high school. So if you've been at one school for all 4 years, you go ahead and enter that school. If you've transferred to different schools, you want to enter any schools that you'll be entering grades for, okay? And then you're going to indicate whether the school is on a semester or a quarter system. I believe most of our high schools for ETS are in a semester system, but if you were in some kind of hybrid model, a different school or different district, it might be that your school is on a quarter system, okay? Also on this page, you're going to note whether you took any summer courses or dual enrollment courses at a community college through your high school. Again, this is important because later, this is going to set up the section for you to enter all your grades. So if you don't put that you took a community college course or you don't put that you took a summer course, there won't be a space for you to enter that class grade later on, which might result in you not meeting the ATG requirements according to the information that you're entering, okay? And then it's also going to ask you your graduation date. And for all of you, you guys can mark it down on your calendar if it's not there already, but that'll be June 2022. If we can go back real quick, sorry. One other thing that I'll mention on here is because of COVID, some of you might not have academic or letter grades for some of your courses. So you are able to put that pass, no pass, or credit, no credit onto the application because whatever is on your transcript has to be reflected on the application, okay? So let's say you know that you got a B, but your score is reflecting a credit, no credit, or a pass, no pass. You cannot put a grade that is not on your transcript. It has to match exactly what's on your transcript, okay? All right. So you'll go on through the application, filling in your grades for each year you were in high school. You want to verify that all the information is correct. You want to make sure you're entering all your A through G coursework. So that includes any classes that you might have gotten a D or a fail in, but then later on retook. You want to make sure you enter every single class that's on your transcript, okay? If for whatever reason you're entering a course and it does not show up on the drop-down checklist for the academic history, then you can manually enter that. For the most part, all your courses should show up on the list because they are all matched through the A through G list that's submitted by your schools and your counselors. But if for whatever reason you don't see the course on there, you can manually enter it. When you're working on your senior year grades, by the time you submit this application on November 30th, you won't have any final grades yet. So for first semester, you'll put in progress. And then for second semester, you'll put planned, okay? And that's the IP/PL that you see there on the screen. And you want to make sure that you're not entering any college courses in this section. There is a separate section for your college transcript. So you want to make sure that you're indicating the correct like course level that you took that class in, okay? So there'll be a separate section for you to put in. You can see the screenshot there on the left-hand side of colleges attended while in high school. So if you took dual enrollment classes through ELAC or Harbor or Compton or Cerritos, you want to go ahead and add that school because you will need to provide an official transcript for that school. So you can work with your ETS advisor to log into your community college portal, get a copy of that transcript and enter the information, again, exactly as it is on that transcript. All right, so at the end of the academic history section, there is a space for additional information. It'll ask you for your statewide student ID, which can be found on your transcripts. Then it'll ask you for additional comments. So this additional comment section is an opportunity for you to share any information about your academic history that you want those campuses to know, okay? This shouldn't be an extra PIQ. This isn't space for you to write anything else other than academic information that you think needs to be shared with the person reading your application, okay? So the space should be used for any significant impact on that experience, okay? So some examples could be breaks in attendance. Let's say you had a broken arm or something like that, and you weren't able to attend classes for a month. So you did homeschool or something like that, or you didn't attend school, period. You can indicate that there. Poor grades in a particular course or a year. Let's say you were going through a difficult situation. Something happened that you were not able to complete a class. You can indicate that there. Information about the school environment. So let's say, for example, there was, I don't know, a substitute teacher for one of your AP courses that, you know, went on through the whole year. Something that is kind of out of your control, you want to indicate that there. I will say that you want to be like intentional with this part. You don't want to say, oh, well, I just had a really bad teacher and that's why I got a D, right? You want to make sure that it's something that is compelling and that is necessary for the reader to understand about your academic history, okay? Some other things that I've seen in this section before is, let's say you transferred schools and you made it to, let's say, Bell High School as a senior, and before that, your other school had no AP or honors courses. So then that's why your transcript doesn't show as many AP offerings, right? Or let's say, I know at some schools, certain classes are only for like the STEM class or the STEM kids or kids in the magnet school. So if there's anything like that that is preventing you from taking certain courses or that can help them get a better picture of your class choices, you can indicate that here, okay? All right, so moving on, the next section is going to ask you about test scores. So remember, the UC is no longer considering SATs or ACT test scores when making admissions decisions. So, or awarding scholarships. So you can submit your test scores if you have them. I know some of you all are going to be taking school-wide SATs. coming up, you can still submit those scores for placement. They can help in meeting your or in meeting the placement requirement for the UC, so helping you place into a math or an English class, but it won't be used for admissions. Okay, you might ask yourself, okay, well, should I submit a bad score? It doesn't. It won't hurt you to submit any score that you have. So if you have it, you can submit it, but it's up to you however you feel comfortable. Okay. Same thing goes with the SAT subject tests. As of 2021, there will be no more SAT subject tests. I don't know if any of our students got a chance to take those before they were discontinued, but I think you can report previous year's tests if you would like to have them included, and they will be considered. For AP, IB exams, or any kind of language equivalency exams, you want to report the scores if applicable. They'll be in a different section of the application, but you want to go ahead and include that because it's super important for the readers to get an accurate understanding of who you are as a student. And the more information you can provide to them, the better and the easier it will be for them to kind of paint a full picture of who you are, right? You want to indicate any exams that you plan to take in the future. So if you're currently taking AP courses right now and you know that you'll be taking the exams next May, you should also indicate that on the application so that they know that you're going to kind of follow through with that. One recommendation that we have for all our students is that even if you did not get a passing score, so for the UCs that's 3 or higher, you want to make sure that you're still including it on the application because believe it or not, when colleges are reading those applications, they want to see that follow through, right? So if you took an entire semester or an entire year to take an AP Spanish class and you took the exam and you didn't do so well, that's okay. They still like to see that you completed the exam because you've built up to that point, right? If they see you not taking the exam, it could be like, oh, well, maybe this kid gave up, right? So you want to make sure you're reporting those exams, even if you didn't pass them. Again, it is up to you, but that is always our advice.
All right, moving on to the activities and awards section. Because the UCs do a holistic review, they want to know about your grades, they want to know about your test scores, and they also want to know about your activities and awards during high school. So in this section, you're going to have 6 different categories to choose from. And the categories are honors and awards. So it could be anything from like the honor list award, a dean's list award. It could be from inside of school. It could be from your community. Some people get awards from doing a lot of community service hours. Educational prep program, so ETS. You can add ETS as one of your activities if you participated in like the CPA program during the summer or the robotics program during the summer. You want to make sure to include that as well. Other coursework, if you took other coursework aside from A through G, that would show or demonstrate some type of strength in an area, you want to make sure you add that as well. Work experience, if you have a part-time job or if you had to get a job to help your family or to purchase any materials that you need for school, you can add that. Extracurricular activities, so if you're in ASB, if you're in a sport, whatever it may be, you want to make sure to highlight all of that and showcase all of the activities and awards you have received. And then last but not least, volunteering community service. I'm pretty sure each high school makes that a requirement, so everyone should have at least something to add. And then just to touch a little bit on volunteering community service in non-traditional areas, we'll go ahead and talk about that in the next slide. But if there is someone who wasn't able to touch any of these categories, then there's ways for you to also showcase what you've done with your free time as well. You do have 20 entries in total, so you have 20 opportunities to show them what you have done with your time as a high school student. And then each category is limited to 5, so they can't all be honors and awards, they can't all be volunteer and community service. You'll have up to 5 for each category. You'll have to note the program name and the description of the program. So like it shows here on the screenshot, what was the program name, and briefly describe the program. So when you do the program description, you want to make sure you note responsibilities and accomplishments that you were able to do while you were participating in that, as well as important details. So you can say something like, I was chosen out of 100 students to participate in a 20 student program, or I was the team captain, I was the president of this club or president of this extracurricular. And then the last thing is you want to avoid acronyms and listing the same activity in multiple areas. So such as ETS, there could be a person who's reading the application that does not know what ETS means, or they can have a different understanding. So you want to make sure you write the whole thing out and say educational talent search, or whatever other program you may be in, and then listing the same activity in multiple areas. Just be careful about that. This is an opportunity that is limited with up to 20 entries. So you want to make sure you take full advantage of all the spaces that you do have available. So some tips, again, if there was a student that was not able to participate in an extracurricular or received an award for whatever reason it may be, they can explain this in their PIQ. However, they can also label it as community service. Let's say, for example, they did homework help at home with their little cousins or whatever it may be. They can add that as a community service activity, and then they would be able to have that to note on their activities and awards section as well. Take your time with this section. Make sure you give yourself the credit that you deserve. Again, this is the opportunity for them to see what you've been doing with your free time, and they know that high school students are usually hustling and bustling around, so they know you're doing something. They just want to make sure that you showcase that. Like it says on there, quality is greater than quantity, so you want to make sure that you add quality activities and awards, and that you're just not listing everything. If you feel like there's something quality to add to the application, feel free to do so, since you do have those 20 entries. And then again, don't use acronyms, spell out the whole thing, and then avoid repetition. If you're talking about one experience, let's say you were in a soccer team and then you were soccer captain, make sure you use that as one entry rather than saying, I was in a soccer team and we won this championship, and then your next entry would be, I was soccer team captain. You can combine that into one, because they will see it as a repetition. Scholarships and EOP. So once you fill out all the activities and awards, there will be a section where you will be able to select what scholarships you're interested in. All UC campuses will create a specific list for you that is based around your criteria that you have pre-selected when you were submitting your application or filling it out. So you might see some areas of the scholarship list that resonate with you. So there could be a button that says, click here if you're a Latino student, click here if you're a first generation student. And you're gonna wanna make sure that you click that, so that way they can send you information about that scholarship, or they can consider you for that scholarship. So you wanna make sure that you select any and all scholarships that are available to you and resonate with your background, with your characteristics or interests. And like it says on there, there's no limit on scholarships selected. You can go ahead and select all of them. All that's going to happen is that they're either going to send you information, or they're going to consider you for that scholarship without you even having to apply, probably. For EOP, EOP is at several different UC campuses, but they provide plenty of resources for first generation and low income students. So EOP is available at Berkeley, Davis, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. And they all who are eligible are encouraged to mark that they're interested. So even if you're not sure if you're eligible, just make sure you click that, just to be safe. But they do provide like free printing. A lot of times students don't realize that that's a cost that takes a lot of money out of your pocket that you wasn't expecting. They also provide academic advising, just like ETS does. They provide assistance with your financial aid application, just like ETS does. So the way we like to frame it is an ETS, but in college, which, as we all know, having someone that you can rely on and that you can ask for advice and receive assistance with is always super valuable. So make sure that you submit your application by clicking yes that you're interested in EOP. And then the most I think scary part for a lot of students is the PIQs. So I know that this isn't something that's in the CSU application, but it is in the UC application. And we do have a workshop happening Thursday where we're going to go more into detail about it. But just a quick run through the PIQs, they stand It stands for personal insight questions. There are 8 questions to choose from, and you only respond to 4. You cannot decide to respond to 5. You can't choose to respond to 3. You have to, in order for you to submit the application, you have to respond to 4. Each question does have a word max, and it is 350 words. No question is better than any other. So you can choose any from 1 through 8. And then you want to make sure that you draft the questions on a separate document. So if you have a Gmail, go ahead and draft everything on a Google Doc. If you don't have a Gmail, I would suggest you get one as soon as possible, since our PIQ readers will ask you to share your PIQs using a Google Doc. And if you haven't heard about our PIQ readers, all students are encouraged to have their PIQs reviewed by the ETS readers. If you haven't heard about it, reach out to your ETS advisor and they can give you more information on how you can submit. And then there also is a additional comment section in the PIQ section. And you want to make sure you use this section to address any issues that you didn't have the prior opportunity to discuss anywhere else in the application. So let's say you have something that is completely like wasn't asked anywhere on the application. You want to make sure you add that here. Please note that this is not another PIQ. It's only for unusual circumstances or something that may be unclear that you think might leave the reader or whoever's reviewing your application with some questions. So this is your opportunity to answer those questions. And then just some tips. Like we said, use the additional comment section to know any extraordinary circumstances related to COVID-19. They don't really want to hear the, my school shut down and I had to have school from home and it was distracting because this and that. Like that was every student's experience, so they want to make sure that you bring something new. And then again, PIQ readers are available now for ETS students only. So if you're not an ETS and you want to take advantage of the readers, go ahead and reach out to any of us now, or you can message us in the chat, or you can find us on Instagram for more information. But for those that already are in ETS, you can already get your PIQs reviewed by our readers. And then we want to make sure that you submit now with ample time so that you can have multiple rough drafts, that you're not scrambling at the last minute trying to come up with a response to a PIQ. And then last but not least, when you're ready to submit your application, it's gonna make you review the whole thing all over again just to make sure that everything is correct. With the UC application, if there is an error on the application, you cannot go back in and edit something. You would have to call the campus that you applied to individually. So if you made one mistake, you would have to contact all the campuses that you applied to and let them know, hey, I made a mistake, here's the correction. So you want to make sure to review this carefully, and then there will be a pop-up that asks you to review your A through Gs and make sure that whatever you submitted or added to the UC application is accurate. It won't let you submit until you review the academic history section, so you want to make sure you do that carefully as well. I would say failure to double check your academic review is a biggie, because if they already see that you don't have your A through G requirements completed, then they would automatically just disregard your application. So make sure you take your time with carefully reviewing that as well. And then it'll have you check the release authorizations checkbox and the statement of integrity, making sure that you agree to and that you have been truthful in your application. Sometimes what does happen is that they'll contact you and say, hey, I need a letter from ETS saying that you were actually in this program for this many years and that you are a current participant. If that does happen, or if that does pop up for you, just let us know or let your advisor know, and then we can provide you with that letter. And then the very last page is the review and submit. So after you verified everything, you reviewed your application, you're gonna see this page that says the number of campuses that you applied to and the cost for each campus. So like Jasmine mentioned, it's $70 per application. However, even though we said it is one application, if you apply to 4 different UCs, it's gonna be 4 times 70. If you apply to 5 different UCs, it's gonna be 5 times 70. So then you'll see your total there. If you do have a fee waiver available, you will be able to apply your fee waiver there. If you didn't get a fee waiver, this would be the opportunity for you to provide your household size and income again, just to make sure that you are getting your fee waiver available and using it. And then it's going to ask you if you would like to accept your fee waiver. And obviously you're going to want to click yes, because that will save you 4 free applications. You'll go ahead and check the I understand and the I reviewed at the very bottom, and then you'll go ahead and click submit my application, and then you'll be done. It will send you an email saying congratulations, you submitted your UC application. It'll give you a UC ID number, and then you'll want to make sure you use that and check your email frequently, because they will be sending you emails very often. Okay, and then some do's and don'ts with the UC application. So do start working on your UC application early. Like Jasmine mentioned, it's been open for months now. Deadline is November 30th. Last year it got extended, but we don't want to bank on that. We want to make sure that you guys submit before Thanksgiving break, so that way you can enjoy your break, we can enjoy our break, and we're enjoying the break carefree without having to worry about, oh my gosh, I didn't submit my UC application. I still have to do that when we go back on campus or back to school after the break. So just to avoid all of that, submit early. Make sure you use the additional comment sections when applicable. So only use it if you absolutely need to. Apply to different UC tiers, like Jasmine showed the tiers. You want to make sure you have that safety reach match school for your UC, so that way you want to make sure that you actually do get accepted somewhere. Remember to send SAT, ACT, and AP scores if you are going to report them on your application. Aside from self-reporting, you also have to send a what is it called, like an official SAT score and official AP score, and you will send that to the school through College Board or through the ACT website. So you want to make sure that you remember to send your scores. And then take advantage of the ETS readers. Like I said, if your college advisor hasn't sent it to you already, we do have ETS readers that can review your PIQs. They can review scholarship essays. They can review EOP essays, whatever you need. They're able to help you review any writing prompt that you may need help with. That includes Common App as well. And then the don'ts. So UCs don't require letters of recommendations. So don't submit unless you're applying to a specific program where they're requesting it. So there are programs and majors that do request a letter of rec, so only send one if they are requesting it. Transcript, same thing. They'll let you know when you need it. If you send them your transcript, they'll probably throw it away, to be honest, because they don't need it. So your counselor will send them an official transcript when they request it. And then provide any discrepancies to the application. If they do find any discrepancies, they will ask you to verify the information. So like I mentioned with the activities and awards, if you put something like, I was a football player and I spent 100 hours a week or whatever, any discrepancy they can find, they will ask you to verify the information. So you want to make sure that you're truthful. And again, if they ask you for a letter from ETS, we can go ahead and provide that for you. And then the biggest don't is submitting an application without having it reviewed. Like I mentioned, with the UC application, you cannot go back in and edit the application. So if you find that you made a mistake, like I said, they can just disregard your application right off the bat, and then that's one less opportunity for you. So you want to make sure you either review it with your ETS advisor, with your counselor, someone who knows how to fill out the application.
All right, so some of our final takeaways that we want you to leave this workshop with is, number one, always review your application before submitting. Like Diana just mentioned, the application once submitted is uneditable. You cannot change any information on there. So you want to make sure it's reviewed by an ETS advisor or a counselor who knows how to review the application and look at certain sections that students have common issues with, okay? You want to make sure that you're checking your emails for any updates regarding an application. You will most likely be getting admission decisions late February through early March, and they will go through your email that you're listing on the application. But before that, you want to make sure that you're checking that email for any requests for information or missing pieces of your application that might be necessary for them to continue to process it. So you want to make sure that you're checking that email regularly, okay? We want you to work on your PIQs early and have them revised and edited. Believe it or not, there's only about 2 months left before these applications are due. That means 8 school weeks. So the time is going to go by very, very fast. And remember that includes a week of Thanksgiving break, okay? So you want to make sure that if you haven't already done so and you're in this workshop and you're interested in applying to UCs, that you start at least brainstorming these questions, okay? It's as simple as meeting with your advisor or sending a remind message them and just say, hey, I don't know where to start. Can you help me out? As long as we get some kind of traction on those, you'll be in better shape, okay? Another takeaway that we want to kind of leave you with is that the UC application is pretty easy to navigate. So it's pretty straightforward, right? A lot of times students get caught up on like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this application. It's asking for so much information. It is asking for information, but it's all pretty straightforward. The thing that's going to take you the longest to complete is the personal insight questions, okay? But we do want to ensure that you're taking your time to enter those courses, enter all your classes, all your other personal information so that it's entered correctly, okay? And then lastly, when in doubt, ask. So again, your ETS advisors, if they're not at your school site yet, will be in the following weeks. But they're also a text away, right? All of us have Remind, so you can message your ETS advisor when they're working and just say, hey, I had a quick question about this portion of the application. They will be able to guide you through whatever questions you might have, okay? Does anyone in the presentation right now have any questions about the application process?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Hi. So I wanted to ask, where would I most benefit to put my scholarship? I'm sorry, my internships when it comes to putting them into the applications?
Yeah, so that would be in the activities and awards section. There is space for you to describe what the internship was. There is a drop down for different categories on what type of activity you're entering. So you can, I believe, mark it as an internship or volunteer work. And then again, work on really highlighting whatever you've accomplished through that internship in the activities and awards section so that the reader understands like the depth of experience that you got during that time.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, any other questions? All right, so lastly, we want to show you how easy it is to create an account. So I'm not sure if those of you on the presentation already have a UC account, but if not, we can go ahead and create one with you right now. So we'll go ahead and go to the link that's on screen. All right, so I just went ahead and entered what's in the chat. You can click that same URL that's in the chat. We're going to go ahead and click create an account. Again, this is reminding us 9 campuses, 1 application. We are in the right spot. It's going to ask you for your email address. So I'm going to go ahead and enter one of ours. Confirm that email address. And then you're going to create a password, okay? So make sure the password contains 8 to 30 characters. One, it must contain at least 3 of the following. So a lowercase, an uppercase, a number, a special character. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter mine. And you can see as I'm going through, it is telling me that my password is good to go. I have a college, so I have my capital, my lowercases, and my special character. By checking this box, I'm saying that I'm confirming that I've agreed to the terms and conditions. You can go ahead and read those if you'd like. But if you are applying, you're going to go ahead and agree to them. And we click create an account. You want to make sure you're writing down this information. If you're working with your ETS advisor, you can write it down in your My ETS sheet or share it with them later on to make sure that you have that information available for you later on. And it was that simple. So took less than a minute to create an account. Again, you want to make sure you're selecting the fall quarter/semester for 2022 and applying as a freshman to complete your profile. And you're done. So in less than a minute, you can create an account. Remember, make sure to write it down because you want to be able to access that account later on without having to go through the process of like forgetting your password and all this stuff. And then when you're ready, you can start the application. So you can see here, it's telling you what to expect, which we just went over, what you'll need. So household income and transcripts, we talked about that. Then it even tells you, talking about the personal insight questions, allows you to email the questions to yourself. And then you can also start the application when you're ready. And then this is what we just went over. Okay. So again, super, super simple to actually initiate the process of starting the application. I would recommend that it's like ripping off a Band-Aid, right? The sooner you can do it, just go ahead and pull off that Band-Aid and create an account. And that's at least your first step in getting started.
Okay, do we have any other questions? No questions. So we do want to thank you for joining us for this session. As I did mention, it is recorded. We will be posting it and sharing it on our YouTube, our ETS YouTube channel. You can find that on our Instagram link tree, and we will also have the advisors. Your ETS advisor will be sharing the link for this as well if you need to review anything. We really encourage you all to set up an appointment with your ETS advisor. Get started on your application. If you can right now, take 5 minutes, create an account. It's that simple. Jot down your information. If you'd like your ETS advisor to have access to your account, you can also share your information with them. And then Diana did just drop in the chat. You can follow us on Instagram at ETS CSULB SB for the South Bay schools and ETS Trio CSULB for our Compton, Linwood, Long Beach, and LA schools. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you all on Thursday. We are having a PIQ info session. So if you'd like more information on the personal insight questions, please join us on Thursday, same time, same meeting ID, and it will be virtual on Zoom. We'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.